to Andrew Little.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My question is to the Prime Minister. Why did he say in July last year that, quotes, "We think unemployment will be down to 4.5% in the very foreseeable future," end quotes?
The Honourable Bill English on behalf of the Prime Minister.
Because, on behalf of the Prime Minister, Mr. Speaker, because in July 2014, when the budget forecasts were published, that's what Treasury forecast, somewhat similar in the pre-election update, and I'd have to say they were about the middle of the consensus for the unemployment rate. It turned out they were all wrong. Unemployment is higher.
Supplementary.
Supplementary question, Andrew Little.
What responsibility, if any, does he take for unemployment rising to 6%?
The Honourable Bill
Mr.
English
Speaker,
on behalf of the Prime
of course,
Minister.
if unemployment was a direct choice of the Prime Minister of New Zealand, there'd be none of it. You'd just decide to have none. But of course it isn't. It's a product of the world economy and its low growth rates, in particular circumstances in New Zealand where the rebuild in Christchurch has flattened out, and the drop in national income of billions of dollars from the decrease in dairy prices was always going to affect the number of jobs in New Zealand, and now it's happening.
Supplementary.
Order. Can I just request a little less interjection from my immediate left? I don't want anybody having to leave the House, but the level of noise yesterday from that particular quarter was unacceptably loud. I won't tolerate it to the same extent today. Andrew Little, supplementary question.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. What responsibility, if any, does he take for the loss of 11,000 jobs in the last quarter alone?
The Honourable Bill English on behalf of the Prime Minister.
Well, Mr. Speaker, as I just responded, of course, it was a direct choice of the Prime Minister. He, of course, would just choose thousands of new jobs. And the Labor Party seem to have forgotten you might be able to choose to do that in the old Russian economy, but in the modern open economy, you don't have those choices. What we're doing is better, and that is backing our businesses to invest more and employ more people. And fortunately, they're proving to be pretty resilient to the poor global conditions, and the right adjustments are happening. Lower exchange rate, lower interest rates, these things will lead to a pickup in the economy and the creation of more jobs.
Supplementary.
Supplementary question, Andrew Little.
How high does he think unemployment will rise, given bank economists are warning it could get to 7%, back to the bad old days of the global financial crisis?
The Honourable Bill English on behalf of the Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, there's a range of bank economists' forecasts. 2 or 3 months ago they were forecasting the end of the world. That hasn't quite happened. Now some of them are forecasting 7% unemployment. Let's see. The fact is that new jobs arise from businesses who are confident enough to invest another dollar and employ another person. That's how jobs happen. So the government is working through dozens of policy initiatives to encourage that, and protecting some of them from criticism, like the 90-day trial period, which enables people to get a foot in the door and prove themselves. Of course, the Labor Party are against that.
Supplementary.
Supplementary question, Andrew Little.
How are Kiwis meant to get ahead and live the Kiwi dream when they are facing job losses, rising unemployment and stagnant wages under National?
The Honourable Bill English on order. To the Honourable Stephen Joyce. You might get a chance later to answer a question, but it's not your question at the moment. Honourable Bill English.
Well, Mr. Speaker, as the Minister has pointed out, wages have been rising surprisingly consistently ahead of inflation. And fortunately, most New Zealanders are not as miserable and angry as the Labor Party.
Supplementary.
Order. Supplementary question, Andrew Little.
When does he expect to finally get unemployment back down to 4.2%, the level he inherited?
The Honourable Bill English on behalf of the Prime Minister.
Well, Mr. Speaker, we have some confidence that in an economy that can and is likely to grow at 2 to 3%, despite some real challenges and some real headwinds from the world economy, that we'll see unemployment peak and start to drop. It would be much better, of course, if it was 4.5%, as was forecast in the budget in 2014. But this is the real world that businesses and households are dealing with every day, and that's why confidence in the government's policies and the future of New Zealand is so important. We have that confidence. Unfortunately, our opponents don't.
Supplementary.
Order. Supplementary question, Andrew Little.
Mr. Speaker, as he enters his 8th year in government, when is he going to stop blaming an old government and take responsibility for his own failure to bring unemployment down and failure to create secure, well-paid jobs for Kiwis?
The Honourable Bill English on behalf of the Prime Minister.
Well, Mr. Speaker, I didn't blame an old government for current unemployment. And if the member says, when is the government going to create secure, well-paying jobs? Well, over the last 4 years, it's about 180,000 new, secure, well-paying jobs, on top of the hundreds of thousands of jobs that currently exist. And the New Zealand workforce is enjoying, on average, real increases in incomes year on year, and they deserve some credit for that, because in the world environment that we've had to deal with, our businesses and households have proven to be remarkably resilient. That is why we have net inflows from Australia for the first time in a generation, even though our growth rates are pretty similar. People see better job prospects here than Australia, and that's a good problem to have, not a bad one.
Question number 3,